Hands, arms, feet, and legs should both can slide shut.
There we go.
That's how we say thank you in Swahili. We also like to say twende because twende means let's go.
Woo!
So Jumbo, everybody. My name's Caden. I'll be your guide for today's journey into the Karambe Wildlife Reserve. Now, this is a real wildlife reserve, meaning that we've got real animals, many of which have really sensitive ears. So be respectful as we enter their homes together and keep those voices at a low volume level. For your own safety, keep those hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the truck at all times, and please don't stand up or lean out of the vehicle at any moment. This includes when we're not in motion, because you never know when I'll start the truck back up again. As you can probably already tell, this is a pretty bumpy ride. First stop out here is a little Otari rainforest, and it looks like our first animals are up that hill to the left, saddle-billed storks. A name for a pretty patch of yellow at the beginning of the bill, shaped just like a saddle. There's one male and one female back there. That species of bird mates for life, and it's pretty easy to tell them apart. The females of that species all have yellow eyes, while the males all have brown. And on the right we have the okapi, who look like they should be related to the zebra with those zebra-striped party pants. In reality, they're the only known living relatives of the giraffe. The Giraffidae family just includes those two, and the male okapi even have ossicones. They are the only other animals on the planet with those skin-covered horns on top of their heads. We have the greater kudu to our left. Greater kudu all here are females. That's why you don't see any horns. However, there are some males with beautiful spiraling horns over at the Animal Kingdom Lodge. They can weigh around 780 pounds, while the females here usually weigh about 650. It's one of Africa's largest antelope species. Now between them is a bongo, that bright orange antelope. They can blend in with the trees out here as they run from predators. You might think that orange color would give them away, but in reality, most of their predators are colorblind. So the stripes along their back and sides work out great like a form of active camo. On the other side of this wall here to the left is a black rhino, the smaller of the two African species of rhino. They can weigh about 3,000 pounds and they charge at speeds of up to 35 miles per hour. It's also called the hook-lipped rhino by some. They've got kind of a triangular shape to their face and a prehensile upper lip. Now that word prehensile means fully muscular, so it helps them to grip vegetation from the trees and bushes for their diets. This is very similar to the long prehensile tongues of both okapi and giraffe. Heading out of the rainforest, we're making our way into the Safi River Valley. This is a great place to find some hippos. Just keep your eyes peeled under the surface of the water. They do spend a lot of time down there trying to protect their delicate skin from the sunlight.
Probably in the mud. Probably in the mud. Look what I'm
There's already a couple on your right. If you're having trouble finding them, they're behind all these bushes back there in that back corner. And on the shore, those are pink-backed pelicans. That pink color you might be looking for is hidden under their wings. It's a bit dark right now, but it brightens up more throughout mating season, as it helps them to attract a mate. And they are joined and outnumbered by the vultures here, which are not a formal resident of the reserve, but we don't mind them at all. They've got a symbiotic relationship with the hippos, where the hippos get a free back cleaning, and these birds get a free meal. They pick up all that dirt, grime, and bad bacteria. There's a few more hippos out there to your left. These are Nile hippopotamus, as this is a branch off of the Nile River. That word hippopotamus translates from ancient Greek and Latin to mean river horse, which I think is a pretty fitting name for them, especially with the way they can run up to 15 miles an hour under the water. That's their chosen method of transportation. They are technically capable of swimming, but they're not very buoyant, so it's a lot more efficient for them to just sink to the bottom and run along the riverbed. This is something you can often see in action over at the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail, which is a 15-minute walking trail just off the exit of the safari. They've got some excellent underwater hippo viewing over there. Now, unfortunately, this area to our left is drained right now, as it's time for those biannual checkups on the crocodiles. They are having vet work done, probably over at Rafiki's Planet Watch. That's where our veterinary clinic is found, and you can watch some of these operations happen through a big glass window. If you're lucky, you could see anything from a pedicure for a bird to a dental appointment for a tiger. Now, there is no set schedule, and I'm not 100% certain that they are working on the crocodiles out in public there, but you can certainly head over and see if there's anything going on. I would imagine that that would be where you'd find them, if at all, this week.
They're at the back to the crocodiles. So make sure they're healthy.
And we might be facing a little bit of a backup on the way into the savannah here. Yes, we're in a giraffe jam right now. This is a pretty common occurrence on the safari, as this is their home, not ours. These animals are free to roam wherever they like, and sometimes that includes the road as well. But they usually move out of the way on their own, so we're already back on the move. Sometimes, however, our keepers will need to come by and offer them some treats, try to convince them to leave for us. If it happens again, you'll know why. On the right here, we have the old baobab tree. It's about 300 years to appear like this, so when I call it old, I really do mean old. You've probably also heard these referred to as upside-down trees, and I think you can see why. Those branches go leafless most of the year, and that makes them appear a lot like roots. Also, like a root system, that tree is full of moisture. Any given time of the year, there's about 26,000 gallons of water in its trunk, including the African dry months. That gives it its final but probably most fitting nickname, which is the Tree of Life. It ends up being a great source of nutrition for a lot of animals out here. Not just the ones with big horns or tusks, they usually puncture it. It then stays leaking for days after. All these other animals you'll see can come grab a sip of water whenever they please. Up ahead is a Maasai giraffe. It's one of the 8 different subspecies of giraffe currently recognized in Africa. It's a little bit different from the one on your animal spotting guide, because the up ahead have a boxier and more squished together, kind of brighter orange pattern. Those are the reticulated giraffe, which can now be found over at the Animal Kingdom Lodge, while the Maasai giraffe out here all have a darker, more irregular look to their spots.
We're gonna see them. Don't want to see them.
Roberto Carreiro filmaram a girafinha na frente, viu? Não, ela já sai pulando. Olha a altura da árvore e olha onde ela está pra cima.
Amor, faz o seguinte, eu faço você. Tem foto da girafa?
On our left, just under that tree, those are African wild dogs, also known as the painted dogs. They're beautiful fur coats. The black, white, and gold looks like it's been splattered right on with a paintbrush. A lot of people tend to think these are some kind of hyena, but hyena are in their own family called Hyaenidae, and these are dogs, so they are canines through and through. They're also not the docile, cuddly puppies they look like back there. They're actually the most intelligent and successful pack hunters in all of Africa. They've got a 90% catch rate, and they coordinate very complex attacks to take down prey much larger than themselves. Up ahead we have Hartmann's mountain zebra. This is the only subspecies of zebra with a dewlap, which is an extra fold of skin hanging off the neck that increases their blood flow and helps to regulate their body temperature. We also have my favorite animal on the reserve here, the springbok, those tiny blonde antelopes, very appropriately named for just how springy they are. They can leap about 13 to 14 feet out in front of them and 8 feet high into the air. Then behind those termite mounds, those are sable antelopes, and that's the only antelope species that fights back against predators with their horns. Known for ramming them straight on, in a fight or flight situation, they pretty much always choose fight. And if you have noticed them in a lot of artwork around the park, that would be why. We use them as the symbol, or the, I guess kind of the logo of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. They help to represent our fight for the conservation of these animals. So you can see them in the safari merchandise, the sign as we enter the reserve today, and even the Animal Kingdom logo, actually. They lead the charge with all the other animals.
The giraffe is crossing over, walking the path.
Told ya. Now this might take a little while, because sometimes the giraffe, when they start walking on the road, they take the turns with the road,
Imagina, todo dia mesmo.
or they just stop.
Vão tirar?
Because there's a giraffe in the way.
In Swahili, poli means slow, and poli means very slow. This is what we call going poli behind a giraffe. Now on the right there's some wildebeest, probably the hardest animals to miss on safari today. There's about 1.5 million of them alive in the continent of Africa, and most of them are gathered in the Serengeti, which also makes them the second most densely populated mammals on the entire planet, next only to us humans. There was only 250,000 wildebeest left back in 1960. It may still sound like a lot to you, but that was an all-time low for the wildebeest population. Of course, they grew exponentially from that point, mostly thanks to the breeding efforts of the Serengeti Wildlife Reserve, which is protected land for them off in Tanzania. It's also famous for hosting the Great Serengeti Migration, which is the largest seasonal migration in all the animal kingdom. There's 1.5 million wildebeest gathering there, and then a bunch of animals join them every single year. It kicks up enough dust to be seen from outer space.
Parece mentira isso aqui.